News!
Started playing that Sherlock game for a while. That's
kind of
tonally like this.
Not only tonally, but almost story-wise. Like it's called like the Call of Cthulhu or something. And in these books, like they're dealing with like someone trying to bring back, or at least in this book, in book 2, they're dealing with the cult of Cthulhu. Mm-hmm. Like one of the inciting incidents starts in the Louisiana swamp with this cult sort of worshiping this idol of Cthulhu. It jumps off from a really interesting place, but like. It has the same sort of like bent as the game Call of Cthulhu. Like, I mean, I don't know enough of H.P. Lovecraft's actual work. I don't think I've ever read any of it. I just know of it through the zeitgeist of like cultural awesomeness.
I don't think I've ever read anything by him.
Me either, but I know his world. I know it has like this noir grit film to it, and there's like people and animals kind of reside in the same world.
Lots of slugs, lots of teeth.
It feels wet.
Yeah,
and wet and like steamy. I don't know.
Somebody's smoking a pipe all the time.
It has this.
There's some gas lights.
And the main character in these comics is called this guy named Ward Lovecraft. His name is Ward Lovecraft. His name is the PI, and I don't know. It's very interesting reading because it reminds me very much of like those old detective noir films from the 1980s where like the dame walked into the room and I could tell from her eyes that she was trouble.
Good stuff.
It's fantastic.
Well, I look forward to reading it. We'll talk about it next episode. Lovecraft PI, A Shot in the Dark, and what's the second one called?
Lovecraft PI, The Curious Case of Reanimator.
And who's the creators?
D.W. Can and who wrote it, he's the writer, and Daniel Sguiglia. Sorry, Daniel, if I'm fucking your name up. Sguiglia, Sguiglia.
And these are graphic novels.
These are graphic novels. But like, I'm gonna run down the rabbit hole with the rest of the books from the series, and then we'll come back next week and
hit it up. Yeah. You want to do the intro?
Yeah. What's good, everybody? If you don't know by now, because we've already been talking for 4.5 minutes, this is what we're into. As usual, I'm your boy, Rob Karma Robinson, sitting here with my brother from another mother,
Lauren Style.
He's my man. Y'all know us. Y'all know what we do. Welcome to week 50, yo.
It is. It's 50.
It's 50,
I almost
baby.
Forgot. 50.
I mean, that's momentous to me.
Wow.
That's momentous to me.
Maybe the greatest thing we've ever done with our lives.
50 episodes,
other than
man.
children.
Well, speak for fucking yourself. Don't put that evil on me.
Known and unknown.
Don't you put that evil on me, because if a motherfucker shows up at my door next week knocking, I'm going to deny. I'm like,
but what if a kid shows up like on your deathbed and it's like there's clear that
there's no problem
there's no responsibility your way.
I'm good.
And they're just like, I just want to thank you for putting it in my mom and making me happy.
I'll be like, get away from me!
Get away from me! You'll never be as good enough as me!
You're not a Robinson! Clown shoes.
How come we don't use Robinson like they use in Lost in Space as often?
I think because it would become old.
The Robinson is coming to the house to record the podcast.
There was once upon a time I thought I used to talk about myself in the third person, but like the way that Dwayne The Rock Johnson used to, like when he was a wrestler, it's like The Rock doesn't care about your feelings. I used to do that. It got old fast. Yeah. Like nobody wants to date you when you're talking about yourself in the third person. The Robinson will be picking you up at 7 p.m.
The Robinson is initiating foreplay.
The Robinson will have the tart, and
the Robinson's date.
Then the Robinson's date will have the meringue. Dumb shit.
Well,
yeah.
It was. I missed you this week. Sincerely.
I miss you too, man.
We're recording on MLK Day, Martin Luther King.
It is a holiday. It is
just by accident.
What's awesome is that your daughter Daisy comes up to me. What did she say to me about it?
7 years old.
She's like, Rob, if not for MLK passing the laws that he passed, you wouldn't even be here. I was like, accurate, but not accurate, baby. Yes,
That's that liberal education. Money to work.
Right?
That is the most financed elementary school in New York City.
You told me.
Yeah.
You told me. That's
what you get. You get that.
I was like, you're right, baby. Thank you. I was like, but then neither would you, because mommy and daddy couldn't have gotten together. Mommy being who she is.
That's right. Don't worry, they're going to teach her about privilege, too, and she'll be very conflicted. She'll have the white looks and then the conflicting genetic makeup.
I already told you, I was like, yo, don't be surprised if she brings some black boyfriend.
I'd be so thrilled. Are you kidding?
You sound like my mom.
We did like 180
You sound like my mom.
in race relations over the last 20 years.
Like
you bring home a person of color now, you're good. Like, you're good. You're right.
Don't bring no white person home here.
Do not bring some white boy into my house. Are you kidding me?
You sound like my mom. My mom grew up telling me don't bring a black girl home.
Oh, really?
I was like, you can't say that, Mom. She's like, why not?
Why not?
And if so, I don't know if you get kind of where I am based on just that story. Who I am as a person. She's like,
next episode of this week, when we get into what we into, we'll talk about the play that I saw, Slave Play by Jeremy.
You saw Slave Play?
Yes, Jeremy O. Harris. It's sort of in a weird way made perfectly for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Like I should be in it or I should be seeing it?
Oh, definitely in it and definitely see it.
Okay. I've heard very good things.
It's perfectly made for a lot of people and unperfectly made for a lot of people as well, but it was
Where'd you see it?
On Broadway.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Because it was at New York Theater Workshop not too long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's had a meteoric rise. And same with Jeremy O. Harris. Meteoric rise to
It's fire.
It's fire, and what it's able to do and get done on a Broadway stage, like it should not be on a Broadway stage. It's sort of, and yeah, it's like one of those plays that like it would be much better in a smaller venue like New York Theater Workshop. But the fact that it is on Broadway is so exciting and so awesome and so yeah, it's great.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So you want to jump off some news this week?
At 6 o'clock.
You're talking about Gwyneth Paltrow's $75.
Fuck that shit, man! I was so
Candle.
That shit had me. It had, like. This is the part in the story where you're like, "Where's the asteroid?" Because humanity doesn't need to survive anymore. I couldn't even.
I think it's an act of supreme trolling. I think it's brilliant. She put out a candle that on the candle says, "This smells like my vagina," and it's $75.
And it sold out literally the day it dropped.
Yeah. The only thing it could be better if it was like $400. Because candles, like, if you could buy a dip-type candle, like that I buy for my wife on, like, Valentine's Day coming up, they're $75 or $80 for a candle.
You should fuck around and get the vagina candle.
That's what I wanted to, but it's sold out. But I mean, here's the good thing about buying a $75 candle for your wife on Valentine's Day. It can be the one thing that you get. That and some flowers, maybe a little bit of chocolate, and then you go out to eat. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know what you mean.
You can shit all over you want.
I've been on the planet almost 4 decades, and I have never bought a Valentine's Day gift, birthday present, Christmas present.
Oh, you're missing
for a
out. It's so much fun.
There's
There's no stress involved at all.
You sure about that?
To get the first.
You sure about that, bro?
I'm shaking. Where's my drink?
I'm like, I can see your hand 14th. Like slowly tremoring. He's like, yeah, it's a gift. It really is.
It's a gift. They'll always appreciate it.
You sound like a battered man.
Don't worry, you'll get a gift as well. It won't be anything you want.
It better not be no vagina candles.
What if your wife got you a candle that smelled like Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina?
I would divorce that bitch. I'd be like, you know what? We're done. Because obviously you don't listen.
Well, here's the question. Should I give the candle to my wife or should I give it to you?
I don't want it.
Every time.
I don't want... See, I used to really, really like Gwyneth Paltrow, but her shilling of like snake oil to motherfuckers has put me off of her in a way that like I don't know if I'm going to return.
That was the headline to the post this week, right?
But not only that, but like I've read articles where people who've been like in the trenches with her, like who've acted in movies with her, who've met her several times, and she's like, I don't know who this person is.
Well, she didn't even realize she was in Spider-Man: Far From Home.
That's my point, dog. Like
Twice.
Like the vapid sort of like I can't. I fucking can't with her, bro. I can't. Because I honestly feel like the last thing that I saw her in that I was really sort of like blown away by her talent, it wasn't any of this Marvel shit, because it's fine. It was
fine.
Shallow Hal.
Yes.
Shallow Hal was the last thing I saw her in, and I was like, wow, that's actually... You've got chops. This is
From Shallow Hal?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the last thing I saw her, and I was like, oh shit, Gwyneth Paltrow, you got some chops, girl.
2001, American romantic comedy, Shallow Hal by the Farley brothers.
The last thing I saw her in that I really enjoyed.
$40 million budget, $111 million. It crushed.
It crushed because it was a fantastic film.
And the poster is just her and Jack Black. And then the shadows behind them, Jack Black's is just normally Jack Black, fat Jack Black, and then it's Gwyneth Paltrow looking huge.
Yeah. She basically she's in a fat suit the whole movie. And the premise is, he gets tricked into seeing her inner beauty. So to him, she looks like Gwyneth Paltrow that we know, but to the rest of the world, she looks like Gwyneth Paltrow in a fat suit.
Robert Ebert says that it was often funny, but surprisingly moving at times.
I agree.
Due to her chops.
And I think that's true.
Not her pork chops.
And I would say that the same thing applies to her as Pepper Potts. She elevated the role of Pepper Potts because Pepper Potts is sort of in the
she's Pepper Potts.
Pepper Potts, like she's a secretary to this guy.
I really like her in that role, though.
She's great in that role, but I'm saying like the writing of that particular role isn't that strong, but her acting in it elevates it. Like the scene where her and Tony have like their first like we're into each other, we might kiss moment, and they don't, and she's like, well, I'm gonna need a drink. You can go get me a martini with olives. A lot of olives. A lot. Like her trying to like swallow the sex.
Oh, yeah.
That was.
Let me just say, sidebar. Don't eat bartending olives. They're disgusting.
Really?
I've never worked for a bar that had good olives.
Yeah,
They're
I feel
always
like
gross.
Because you're putting your fingers in, like.
They're nasty, man. Don't touch. Don't eat. Don't. And when you're ordering like a martini, extra dirty, you're getting a ton of super cheap olive juice on top of your vodka.
Ew.
Like, just drink something else.
Ew.
It's gross.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Well, all right. That's a. My man, you were feeling that for a second. So all right. Okay.
Sidebar of the sidebar. In 1991, Gwyneth Paltrow played a young Wendy Darling in the movie Hook.
Oh, shit, that's right.
Yeah, just let that sink in for a second.
Oh, shit, that's right.
So she plays the young Wendy. We typically see the old Wendy when they get to the house, but I think there's a flashback scene.
Yeah, that's right.
Before Peter Pan grows up, which is cool. That was one of her first movies in 91.
Yeah.
And then after that,
now she's out here shilling snake oil to motherfuckers, is telling them to put jade eggs in their vaginas. And
she really has not done a lot of great stuff.
Not at all, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Great Expectations, which I like.
Which was okay. Yeah, it was fine.
Shakespeare in Love in 98.
Didn't hate it.
Talented Mr. Ripley.
Good movie.
99.
She was good in that.
That was sort of her flow, you know.
She was good in that.
Shallow Hal 2001, which we talked about. Royal Tenenbaums 2001.
I loved her in that. She was great in that.
Austin Powers in Goldmember 2002.
I don't recall.
And then there's like Proof, Iron Man. Really, that's the start of her Marvel.
Yeah, she jumped into the Marvel money, and when you get your foothold in the Marvel money, you really can just. All right, for some, once you get your foothold into that Marvel money,
you can open up an Amazon store, for example. You could open up a store that sells nothing but candles that smell like your vagina,
or your best friend who you love plugging on this show.
Who?
Your best friend, Jeremy Renner.
Oh, that's what I said. That was the Amazon store.
Oh.
That's it. You thought I was talking about Gwyneth Paltrow. They basically did the same thing.
I did think you were talking about
we can move off of that. Oh, actually, no. I want to read what her candle is described as. Funny, gorgeous, sexy, and beautifully unexpected scent. This candle is made from geranium, citrusy bergamot, and cedar absolutes juxtaposed with damask rose and ambrette seed to put us in a mind of fantasy, seduction, and a sophisticated warmth.
Wait, so her vagina smells like Damascus seed?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here, man. Just get out of here.
Get out of here. We know what your vagina smells like.
It smells
that's because you put all that shit on it. That's why it smells like that.
So basically, she's selling you a candle that doesn't smell like her vagina. It just smells like fragrant perfume shit.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, she's lying to motherfuckers.
She's lying.
And come on!
We do not endorse this.
We do not endorse this. We may endorse the Jeremy Renner store.
Right. We may buy a crossbow from the Jeremy Renner store in a tent.
I don't know if there'll be enough time, but we're definitely not buying those scented candles and eggs to put up our vaginas from Gwyneth Paltrow.
Unless I buy it for you.
Wait, what is the name of her website? Isn't it like Goop?
I don't know. Yeah, Goop is the name of her brand.
Isn't that ridiculous?
I love it. What was the snake oil thing I know that comment, was there more facts behind that?
Well, snake oil is basically the term you use for anyone who's selling like bullshit.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Goop
is bullshit.
It's in the title.
But isn't that most of like the cosmetic industry?
I feel like, yes, you're right, but like she's Gwyneth Paltrow, so like while Clairol and CoverGirl and all those like have had a history of that kind of shit, and we all kind of know that, so we don't. We're more inclined to like be more discerning when it comes to those guys. But with someone like Gwyneth Paltrow, who is famous for things like the Marvel universe, like, people are gonna flock to that
Yes.
shit and like throw money because, oh, it's Gwyneth Paltrow, she's a pretty white woman, and you can sell water to a whale with a pretty white woman.
Yeah.
You could sell insurance to a quadriplegic with a pretty white woman.
Yeah.
That's how do you think John David Luce got me to come to UE?
Pretty white woman?
Pretty white. Two pretty white women.
It wasn't my mom, was it?
No, though she
was like the bonus.
She kind of counted.
Yeah.
She kind of counted. Yeah, your mom, bro.
Yeah, brah.
Stupid.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are going to drop the HRH titles and start paying rent, apparently.
Sure.
While also collecting money still.
Right.
But the Queen came out and did give a statement. She says, following many months of conversation and more recent discussions, I'm pleased that together we have found a constructive and supportive way forward for my grandson and his family. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be much-loved members of my family. I recognize the challenges that they have experienced as a result of intense scrutiny over the last 2 years and support their wish for a more independent life. That's some snake oil.
Is she acknowledging the racism?
No,
is that what that is?
no.
Because she no, it sounds like
Sort of.
Last
Yeah. I recognize the challenges they have experienced as a result, but that could have been just the focus, the intense media focus on them.
Yeah, but that's all royal. Or like that's
Yeah.
that's part of the trade off when you become royalty is that the scrutiny is going to be there. I think it's interesting she phrased this way. It's almost like she's like, I admit. Racism.
I admit I'm racist as fuck, but
racism.
I'm also super proud of them for not putting up with my racist as fuck behavior.
But see, I don't think it's on the Queen. I think it's on the established
it's
empire that is. I feel like maybe not the Brits, but like the Romans were the first people to sort of get with the doctrine of get down or lay down. And then the Brits kind of picked it up for the modern age and sort of advanced that with industrial revolutionary standards. And subsequently we have the world we have now, kind of out of a lot of what they kind of set up as the model for business.
It's oddly like the perfect scenario for the moment.
You know what? You're right. It is because Britain, UK being what it is, and America being little UK.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to see this all sort of suss out between, Anyway.
You mean just generally like look at racism and be like, yeah, maybe not.
Generally looking at racism and being like, do I have time for this shit? You know what,
8 years of Obama? Here's some Trump. What's that do?
Cut to Nazis walking in the streets
Right.
and the world literally on fire everywhere. God. All right. Well, let's jump into some actually like uplifting news.
Some shit we
let's
actually
get off
into.
Of Gwyneth and her bullshit because I definitely did want to roast her a little bit.
I mean, let's move off of rich white people.
All right. What do you got?
I got some Billie Eilish news. Do you hear about this?
Motherfucker, you just said let's get on it, rich white people.
She's new rich, though. She's not that old rich.
Oh, my God. No, I didn't.
She's not that generational rich, as far as I know. I don't know shit about Billie Eilish. Maybe her fucking dad is like Phil Spector or something.
Oh, my God.
No, she's doing the new James Bond song.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I feel like this is she British?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
I feel like this is inherent with most times that like a British pop icon will come up. Because didn't Adele do one of these?
Yes. It was Adele, right?
Yeah.
And
it was like right at about the time that she was popping off with her fame and making the rounds in the world of music. They gave her a Bond opening to do.
Right.
I think it was Skyfall, in fact. And so like this hearing that they're giving Eilish the go ahead to do this, yeah, fine, sure, great.
In the Skyfall.
It was actually a dope intro.
It was awesome.
It was great.
Yeah, it was in my head for like 2 years. Now,
like, wow.
now it'll be in my head next week for a week too.
Well, we already established that bitch Adele can blow. She can blow. My God.
Here's some other ones. Paul McCartney did "Live and Let Die." That one's phenomenal.
Yep.
Sam Smith, "Writings on the Wall." Chris Cornell, "You Know My Name," which I don't like
I love
Soundgarden that right, but I like that song. That song's good. Yeah.
Very Soundgarden.
Duran, "A View to a Kill."
No shit.
Jack White, "Another Way to Die," with Alicia Keys.
Didn't know that.
Madonna, "Die Another Day."
I love that one.
Let's see what else. Shirley Bassey, "Goldfinger." That's the Goldfinger one. Yeah,
Goldfinger. There was "Diamonds Are Forever." I think that was Eartha.
Oh yeah. Carly Simon, "Nobody Does It Better." Tom Jones Thunderball.
So, I mean, I feel like in recent years, just bringing this back to what I was saying at the top, I feel like in recent years, if you're English and you have a pop hit, or if you're on the charts as a pop hit, they're likely going to tap you to do a Bond thing. Mm-hmm. At least that's what it's felt like for the last couple.
Did you know that Sheryl Crow did Tomorrow Never Dies?
Yes, I did.
Woo.
Yes, I did.
Woo.
Sheryl Crow.
Oh, Aha did The Living Daylights.
Really?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Aha? I'm like, Aha.
Aha. Aha.
James Bond, you are a super spy movie. It's called No Time to Die. Get drunk, have sex, and shoot a gun. Yeah. James Bond sounds fun. He's a Bond guy. Duh.
Did you hear that Taika Waititi may be developing a new Star Wars movie? That was like one of those news things that pops up that I feel like obligated to mention, but I'm like, just either announce it or
you
don't.
were obligated to mention, and I would have like been just gloss over it because I've been holding on to this piece of news about Lucasfilm canceling the Obi-Wan show.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Really? They canceled it already?
Lucasfilm has reportedly canceled the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. This was
when did that come out?
Let me see with this article. This article says 3 days ago, but
Ooh.
the Disney Plus showcase at last year's G2 blah 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 both fans all that garbage. According to the folks over at Fandom Wire, Lucasfilm has pulled the plug on the show, canceling it before it even had the chance to get going. The outlet doesn't specify why exactly it's been axed, and Disney has yet to comment on this. But FW has a decent track record when it comes to scoops, and their report is being backed up by multiple people on Twitter. So it does seem, indeed, that the show is dead.
I just clicked on a site that I'm waiting for it to open that says that is not true.
Really?
That was a fake account, and I'm just waiting for it to open. And it probably won't open now. I guess
Who's fake now?
Who's fake now,
Lawrence?
It says, from what I can read, earlier this week, a fake account tweeted that the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series for Disney Plus was no longer happening. ... However, everyone can breathe a sigh of relief now because the Obi-Wan Kenobi cancellation rumor has now been debunked. A fake Twitter account called blank, 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 blank. I guess we'll wait and see. But, bigger question.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi?
No, I think we already talked about this in a couple. I think what the inherent problems that comes with telling an Obi-Wan Kenobi story is that we're going to have to talk about the Skywalkers.
Yep.
And as I've stated on this podcast, I don't want to speak for you. Mm-hmm. I am so done with Skywalker stories. Mm-hmm. Tell me any other story in the Star Wars universe besides one that is connected to the Skywalker family. I don't care anymore about that. So maybe.
But they're not going to be able to avoid that. They're going to tie in every little Easter eggy little mention that they can of Tatooine and New Hope and all that stuff, they'd be unable to avoid it. And I also like he has to sort of stay on Tatooine to guard Luke. Right. That's the idea.
Right.
So whenever he leaves Tatooine, Luke is in mortal danger. Mm-hmm. So that means the entire show pretty much stays on Tatooine. With the exception, maybe like the last episode where he goes out and then comes back and Luke's safe or something like that. He also sort of has to do it in a way, because Luke Skywalker's aware of Obi-Wan Kenobi. He calls him Ben Kenobi. I wonder if that's old Ben Kenobi. But he doesn't suspect that Obi-Wan Kenobi is anybody special.
Right.
So that means that like all of this has to happen without Luke realizing that it's happening on the planet.
Right. And how entertaining can someone not using their full Jedi-ness...
Right. Because if anybody knows that he's a Jedi, they have to probably either die or be cool with the fact that they know that he's a Jedi there on the planet.
Right.
Yeah. Just move on. Let's just move along.
So I'm actually when I read this news, I was like, oh, great. I honestly didn't have any other reaction other than great. That's one less thing we have to worry about as far as I'm concerned with that. I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
So like honestly, I could take it or leave it. I honestly could take it or leave it. In the same way that like I'm feeling the way The Mandalorian kind of like didn't pan out the way I would have liked them to do with a episodic show like this. I'm less inclined to then give them more carte blanche to make more things like this where I'm like,
Like, just give us new. Just new.
Just give us new.
Yeah.
Just give us new. So we were talking a little bit about this before we turned our mics on. Studio Ghibli, Netflix acquiring basically the entire canon of Studio Ghibli.
Yes, I'm so psyched.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Except for North America, Canada, and Japan.
Wait, which what?
Yeah. So you get so Netflix acquired, they
got the rights.
They got the rights to show all of Studio Ghibli. If you don't know who Studio Ghibli is, kill yourself. With kindness.
Kindness.
That's my new thing now.
Or just go watch the movies.
That's my new thing.
Howl's Moving Castle.
I'm always going to tell someone to kill themselves, but with kindness.
Let's see. Howl's Moving Castle.
Howl's
Totoro.
Moving Castle, Totoro, Spirited Away.
Spirited Away is one I couldn't think of.
Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Pretty much the best anime of the last 20, 30 years.
Easily the best. Some of the best fantasy anime.
Family-friendly anime.
Family-friendly fantasy anime of the last 20 years.
Yes.
Easily. So here's when each Studio Ghibli film will hit Netflix, except for Canada, North America, and Japan.
Why do we care then?
I know, right? Because I think it's huge in the fact that.
So if you're in the UK, actually, it's funny. Spalding, England, is one of our biggest listening cities. Yes, up there with Brooklyn, which is strange to me. Which is
shout
great.
out to Spalding. Yo.
Spalding, what's up?
What's good?
Glad you guys are going to get to watch all the Studio Ghibli movies on Netflix. Way to go. We're not hating on that, but we're a little pissed off.
Well, it's funny that you say it because literally the title of this article says, this is how this article starts. It says, sometimes shouting about something a lot gets you places.
Okay.
Case in point, Studio Ghibli.
Sure.
Which is right in line. Obsessive demandings that Netflix pull the string to get the entire catalog of the Japanese animation house available to stream on repeat, which is, I can't believe it.
I bet Russia gets it too.
Well, I mean, it's Europe. It's fucking Europe.
Yeah.
So starting in February, you'll be able to start watching this. And it's looks like it starts, we finally get the
this February.
This coming
a month from now.
A month,
every Studio Ghibli movie.
Less than a month now.
You know how much I paid so much money for Studio Ghibli movies when my kids were little?
You serious?
Yeah, because Penelope loved Totoro. She latched onto it. It was her first movie that she ever saw in the movie theater. We sat front row. She had a handful of candy. She made it about 3/4 of the way through the movie. And it's funny because it's clearly a kid's movie, but everyone behind me was an adult. And I could just feel as she started to get a little more fidgety, a little more audible, that it was time to go. And so we left. Because she'd already seen it multiple times. It was just more the idea of let's take her to her movie. Right. This is a good one because she's seen it, But yeah, I spent so much money on those Studio Ghiblis. And if they were just available on Netflix, I could be like, hey, try this one. Try this one.
Well, we're getting 2 new Studio Ghibli films this year.
We are.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Studio Ghibli is working on 2 new films in 2020. According to Hayao Miyazaki, first feature film since coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
So remember, because he retired a little.
Yeah.
So he's coming out of retirement.
You know what happens when you retire? You die.
You get bored of doing it.
You get bored. You clean your house. You clean your pool. Think of all the things my dad's doing right now. Not that my dad's dying, but you know what I mean? If you had this thing that you could work on. If you had so much money and you could just pay that stuff to be done for you, then maybe come out of retirement and create a new cartoon. What are you looking at?
I'm trying to find when we can expect to see these movies because they're working on them now. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see them in 2020.
Oh, it'll take 5 years.
So
it's hand-drawn animation.
It's sounding like maybe we might see them in 2022.
Okay.
At least from this article is what it's saying. But if he started working on them now,
right?
2 new films, yeah, that sounds about right. 2 years from now, we would have a finished product, something to bring us back to our love. I mean, because I love all of Miyazaki's work.
Right,
it's all so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Back to James Bond. Barbara Broccoli doubles down on her previous statement. This is coming from your Facebook post that you had put up about James Bond always being played by a male. He can be of any color, but he is male, she says. I believe that we should be creating new characters for women, strong female characters. I'm not particularly interested in taking a male character, Jane Bond, right, and having a woman play it. I think women are far more interesting than that. And so she's not. I think you could look at that and be like, oh, that makes me so angry. James Bond can be a woman, but I'm like, what she's saying to me is no, let's just make a new character.
I agree with this. I agree. I read the statement, and initially I was like, it took me a couple readings to be like, no, I think what she's saying is right and legit. we don't have to necessarily just take something male and throw, the women logo on it and then claim it. Just build something else. Just build something else.
Just call her Jane Bond.
Don't call her Jane Bond.
Is James Bond, you would know this more than I would, is James Bond his actual name, or is that a name assigned to him? I know 007's been assigned to him as
James. I think James is his first name. I don't know if the Bond moniker, I think the Bond moniker is something that he acquired because he's an orphan.
Right.
So
Good
I think
point.
the Bond moniker, the surname is something that he acquired from the family that adopted him, whereas his first name, James, I think is his actual name. I mean, mind you, I haven't read any of the actual source material. I just know this from all the films and sort of my fandom of those.
Yeah, because the rumor was that Lashana Lynch was going to replace James Bond.
Well, I mean, ostensibly she has, but she's not. But she's not
007, yes.
I mean, she's not 00. She's a 00,
right?
But she's not 007,
right?
Which
that's
great.
Okay. Yeah,
there's been multiple 00s over the course of these movies. And
her name's Nomi in the character, so it'd be Nomi Bond.
Yeah, no.
008.
No, that's... I don't think this person has to be Bond, because that moniker is 100% an Ian Fleming, the broccoli name kind of thing. I think if you're going to... You can still do these movies. They could be... You could call them 00 movies.
Right.
It doesn't have to be 007.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't have to be James Bond.
Right.
I don't know.
Take a guess how much their budget for this movie, No Time to Die, is coming out.
$125 million.
$250 million.
So they gotta make a quarter of that back?
They have to make at least 500. No, they have to make, let's see, 500 million to break even. Mm-hmm. They have to make anything past that is profit.
Do you see this movie making $500 million?
I have no idea. Let's look at James Bond movies and see how much they've made.
I was looking. I went and saw Bad Boys this weekend, and it was one of the trailers that I watched before the movie. And while I think it will be a good Bond film, I don't know if I can see this grossing $500 million. At least not right away.
Yeah. Well, here we go. So, Casino Royale made $600 million in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that would make $100 million profit. Okay. Quantum of Solace made $586 million, so just a little bit less. Mm-hmm. That still would be an $86 million profit. Skyfall made $1.1 billion, so that was the biggest of the Daniel Craig movies. And then Spectre made $880 million. So they have been sort of like progressively. Ramping. I mean, Spectre was a drop down because honestly, Spectre was not as good as those first three movies.
Wait, you said how much did Spectre make? You said
880. So that's less than the 1.1 billion that Skyfall made. Right. So yeah, so I guess that fits in with it. I mean, put $250 million into this thing, hope to make $1 billion. You know. The problem that Spectre had for me personally is that it sort of like went too far with continuing this previous stories.
Interesting.
You know, because we end up with this. I don't even want to go into it. It's just such like I don't.
Yeah, it's fine.
We find out that Christoph Waltz
is his brother.
Yes, I'm like on a skiing trip.
Technically, adopted brother.
Yes.
So
who they thought died in a skiing trip?
Yeah, well, who thought they died in the same accident?
Style?
In the same, who thought he had died in the same accident that killed James Bond's adopted father?
Okay. Yeah,
that's kind of where it kind of parsed out because. And when you find out, what you come to find out is that Christoph Waltz's character actually kills his father and fakes his own death so that he can then fuck with James Bond for
the rest of his life.
Basically, for the next 30 years or whatever.
Yeah. He keeps it hidden for like 30 years.
Seems a lot.
It seems a lot. That's a pretty hardcore motivation.
And apparently he must have been mad independent wealthy to sort of just like kill himself, subvert expectations, and then build a criminal organization through all these means and ways to control resources on the planet through...
it's too much. And he's still in this movie, too.
I don't know, because if you go back and you watch some of those old Bond movies, they have a through line like that through a good portion of them.
Yeah, they do? Okay.
Because he's fighting this organization, Spectre.
Yeah.
That's from the title Spectre comes from the old Bond films. He was fighting this criminals organization called Spectre, and a lot of those, especially in those first movies, like Dr. No and some of those that link to each other or whatever, there is a criminal organization that he's fighting. Yeah. That you like that classic with the villain with the cat stroking the cat. That's basically Christoph Waltz's character. From those movies. Blofeld.
Yeah. Feld. Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll do fine. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Rami looks good.
We'll see it. We'll see it in the theater. Unless there's something else coming out at the exact same time that's even better, but we'll see it. We'll see it.
You'd be hard pressed.
How did Rami look in the trailer in the theater?
He looked great. He looked like they're doing some scar makeup on him.
I saw that.
Like he's mangled, but he's got a good full head of hair.
No, good.
Propecia for that.
He's got so much money now he doesn't have to take Propecia anymore.
No, they just get the doll hair just stabbed into the scalp.
Every morning, yeah. He sleeps in one of those Darth Vader tanks. You know what I mean?
It's called a sensory deprivation.
Boom.
Jesus Christ. Also, your favorite news, just jumping off of that to...
Move along.
Final Fantasy is delayed. There's a couple delays this year. Final Fantasy and also Cyberpunk are both delayed.
And then there was one more, which I can't remember. We're talking video game news now.
It kind of bums me out, but I'm not. I'm not that bummed. I'm a little like, oh man, I was really wishing I could get a hand. But like, Cyberpunk's coming out the day after my birthday, so that's what you'll be getting me this year.
Perfect. Done. I love it when gifts are just tell me what you want.
That's what you'll be getting me this year.
Just don't make me guess for it.
Easy money.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I was really looking forward to playing these things early.
It's good though that they've been delayed.
I agree. I agree. Take the time.
Like I finished Jedi Order this week.
Right.
And it was good. If they had delayed it a month and tightened that combat, the story was great. They didn't need to do anything to that.
Well, that was one of the things they could have taken this story from Fallen Order and it made it a full-length feature, and it would have served on so many levels. It wasn't a fucking Star Walker story. It told a Jedi story that was compelling and...
Because it's about light versus dark. That was like, it's funny how like all of these Star Wars, including the prequels, have sort of like missed the main draw of Star Wars, which is you are a super being with powers that are like you can't even really explain. You're a space wizard. Your choice is to stay and make good decisions or to make selfish bad decisions. That's it. And that draw to whether you're going to go good or go bad. Which is sort of where Kylo Ren is with these sequel series, but it doesn't really happen.
They don't take it. They don't take it to the fullest.
No,
fullest completion of what that could be and what it, in my opinion, because I'm not a writer. I just go off of feeling what I feel.
But that's powerful. That's if you can feel something, especially in the writing, or if you're able to write and feel something simultaneously. This is when I know that I've written something interesting. At least it may not be good, but I know it's interesting because as I'm writing it, I'm feeling that thing. You know, and sometimes when I come back, if I don't feel that same thing again, I'll wait a few days and try to see it and go back, and then if I feel it again, I'm like, okay, no, that's something I should pay attention to.
Interesting. I mean,
it's why I don't write from a lot of, and this is my bad, to be quite honest, but it's why I don't write from a lot of outlines, because it's hard for me to figure out what that feeling is when I'm given the structure of an outline of the bullet points, you know what I mean? But if I can find accidentally a powerful feeling in something that I'm writing and then organically grow from that.
Just in the description of that process sounds really kind of like
torturous,
torturous and hit or miss.
Painful.
Like you can, if it feels like you can either find yourself being really overjoyed with what comes out of you, or putting more pressure on yourself to get stuff out of you.
Yeah,
and
totally.
is that sort of where you kind of vacillate between these two positions?
For sure, and it's also linked to like what you're emotionally capable of feeling that day.
Interesting.
If you're not emotionally in that headspace and can't be in that headspace, you're not going to get that kind of emotion. You know,
I see,
that you may or may not be trying for. So it's a lot of trial and error. I'm going to talk to you off mic about, you know, the thing that we've talked about writing and pseudo writing and yada yada yada. But one of the things I keep telling myself to remind you of is that I'm going to make 10 passes at every single scene, and 9 of those passes are going to be failures.
I see.
And one of them might be something positive that we can build off of.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
interesting.
What else you got?
That's pretty much sewed up my news. I just had those couple. I mean,
I got a few.
All right.
I got Hank Azaria is no longer going to voice Apu in The Simpsons.
Yeah. I saw that.
And some people are just like, yeah, okay, great. And other people are like flipping out.
Who are the people that are flipping out, and what are the grounds for flipping out?
Let's go to some of the comments. This is from an IO9 post. So if you don't know, Hank Azaria is, you know, he's a white dude. He's voiced Apu from The Simpsons.
He's also like he's been in, like, you know who he is. He was in Mystery Men. He played the Blue
Blue
Meanie,
Raja.
Blue Raja and even then the Blue Raja.
Yes.
With it. So like,
But his mom calls him out in the movie too.
But he's been doing this for a long time.
Well, to his credit, he did not create the character of Apu for The Simpsons.
True.
And to
But
The
they hired him
Simpsons'
to do
credit, they created a very stereotypical character that worked in a 7-Eleven gas station, which the British call a Paki, short for Pakistan.
Yep,
you know what I mean? So that's all in there. And then as the 20-something seasons went on, what are we in, 30? 30, yeah. They've slowly developed
a conscience
in reaction at more things for Apu to be proud of. So he's not. He is a stereotypical character, but they've given him all of these like sort of positive ideas. And so the first comment that's on here that says checks notes. He becomes a successful business owner with a PhD, Springfield's most eligible bachelor, youth hockey coach, volunteer firefighter, member of Homer's bowling team, barbershop quartet, and vigilante group, and a vegetarian who is friends with Paul McCartney. What a great victory for representation on TV. And so the guy this comes from Bart Fargo, and he's sort of commenting on what he says is unfairly stereotyped as checks notes, all those things. But an argument to that reaction, you can be all of those things. A character can be all of those things.
And still be
those positive things. And if you still base them in a 7-Eleven with an accent like that.
With a wife and 8 kids and that kind of...
Right. But going back to the Speedy Gonzalez thing, when they canceled Speedy Gonzalez's character, a lot of Hispanic minorities stepped up and said, no, we like that character. We understand that it's a stereotype, but we still like it, and we've sort of taken it on as our own.
Right.
So there's a lot of this gray area that surrounds Apu and his character, played by Hank Azaria. I think it is the right move to take him off of that voice.
I think so, too.
He's got a shit ton of money.
I mean...
He's made millions off of this.
So are we... Is the move here take Hank Azaria off and get an actual Indian person to voice Apu?
Yes.
Is that the move?
That's the move.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Because the guy with that credit who takes over and does the voice work for Apu, and he's actually an Indian actor, he does the voice, even if it's a complete imitation of Hank Azaria's, which it probably should be. I mean, you can change it subtly, but it probably should be.
It should sound like Apu.
That's the character. That guy, again, has that credit on his resume. Simpson's character, Apu, that Indian actor makes all of that money. That opens the doors for other Indian actors. That's what representation is.
Matters.
You know, it's not about necessarily nailing the character perfectly so it doesn't offend anybody in the U.S. It's about opening
the door for opportunity for people to represent themselves and be able to see themselves in that representation without being like, this is. I know we've talked about it on the podcast before, and this calls into question that stuff with the 80s being able to just do that without any kind of repercussions. One of my favorite movies of all time are Short Circuit 1 and Short Circuit 2. And they have a white guy playing an Indian, like he becomes like in Short Circuit 2, he becomes the main guy. It's him. I forget what is that guy's name.
I grew up with those movies too.
Me too. So like, and for me, like it always kind of, it was bothersome to me because I was like, this is weird, right? Like as a person of color watching somebody who's not a person of color play a person of color, I was like, this is suspect, right?
Fisher Stevens.
Thank you, my God.
Yeah, we were both struggling there for a minute.
Fisher Stevens.
Yeah, so Fisher Stevens, exactly.
And like, to his credit, he's a good actor.
Right.
But that's still problematic.
It is, yeah. But at the same time, I'm going to look at Fisher Stevens here because I don't think he had a lot going on at that time before that.
No, he didn't. But he definitely had a rise after that. I think I remember him in like Hackers, maybe.
Yeah,
or,
he was
the Hackers.
It was Hackers. Yeah, he plays like the crazy hacker guy. Right. He's the foil. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure he has lots of thoughts on this.
Yeah, I honestly would be interested to hear his thoughts on it because, like, how do you audition for that?
So he did a couple movies. He did The Burning in 1981, Baby It's You in 83, The Brother from Another Planet in 84, The Flamingo Kid in 84,
with Joe Morton,
The Science Project in 85, and then Short Circuit in 86. So he was acting. But the question is, like, should actors be at that level be held accountable for who they work for and who they end up portraying?
Well, it's interesting because didn't Scarlett Johansson get into some shit recently for almost
every role she's done?
Well, that and voicing some of the same sentiment, being like, as an actor, I feel like I should be allowed or the chance to play whatever, whether it be a tree or blah blah blah. And I get where she's coming from, but she's also coming from a place of privilege, and she should understand that privilege has allowed her, as an actor, as the person she is, to go ahead and say that. But that's not true for all actors.
Yeah,
because I'm not even considered for Hamlet.
Right.
I'm not even considered for a swath of the canon of literature or IPs. Yeah. Just because you're not. So, like, for her to be like, well, I feel like blah blah, I should be. Yes, that may be true. Scarlett. Scojo, but representation is a thing now, and fall back.
Yeah, fall back for sure.
Fucking fall back.
I agree. It's also sort of like the somebody cut the Safdie brothers. We're going to talk about Uncut Gems coming up here. The Safdie brothers come up to Rob, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to play this gangster in this movie." And you're like, "Okay, well, let me check out that script."
Yeah,
you read the script, and you're just a gangster.
Okay,
you're going to get $50,000.
Okay.
You're going to be a black gangster.
Okay.
Stereotypical black gangster.
Okay, stereotypical? Then maybe not.
I mean, you can bring your own flair to it.
Yeah, I have honestly, I have issues playing stereotypes.
I know.
That's why I still don't have an agent, because every time I go in and I speak to an agent, they ask me, "What do you want to do, Rob? What is it that you want to do?" And I tell them, I'm like, "Look, I'll do anything.
Ballet.
I can do anything. I have the training and the mindset and the will to do anything.
Pole dancing."
But I don't want to play stereotypes. I don't want to do negative. I don't want to portray negative stereotypes of black people. So if you can, if you can put me on work without me having to sort of shuck and jive and do some other shit that I will do, but I don't want to, then sure. And I can always tell immediately that when that meeting breaks down.
Yeah.
Because the minute I say that, I see the light in their head turn off, because they're like, well, what the fuck am I going to do with you? Look at you. You're 6'3", muscular and black. So of course you're going to be a gangster or some negative stereotype, because we don't know any other thing other than that to put you in. And so I'm still, schlepping along, running down my own work, because I don't want to play negative stereotypes of black people.
If you did, however, for me, I would say, I see that, get the money, do what you're going to do. I wouldn't hold it against you. When Rami Malek took on the role of for Bohemian Rhapsody, there was a blowback after the fact when all the allegations about Bryan Singer came out. And people were like, how could you work with this guy who has been accused of all of these horrible things?
Yeah.
The truth is, he didn't know.
You know that shit.
People said, well, we don't believe you. But when you know Rami, you know that he really, he plays a certain kind of game, but he's not playing the Hollywood rumor type. Yeah. I'm going to read, 2 years prior an Esquire article about, Bryan Singer molesting these boys potentially.
Right.
It's
right. And up until that point, it was all, it's the same could be said about motherfuckers with Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
depending on who you were to Harvey Weinstein and what version you got of Harvey Weinstein, you may not have heard about any of that.
Any of it.
Sure, there were some underlying rumors, and you look at Harvey and you see some of the way he acts.
I feel like most people, the industry sort of knew, but they were all kind of complicit in, fucking River Phoenix came out, not River Phoenix, what was it? His homeboy, River Phoenix and his
Joaquin?
No, not his brother, but he was in Lost Boys with him. What's his name? Corey
Feldman. Yeah.
Feldman came out years ago and was like, yo, peep game, shit's fucked up. Y'all should be... And this is a white guy.
Yeah.
At the time.
Nobody believed him.
And nobody would believe him. So...
And he's still running. People still don't believe him because of who he is.
Yeah.
But he was saying a lot of truth about that. He was saying a lot of truths.
Same thing with cats like Courtney. What I've noticed is that a lot of people who end up garnering Hollywood's ire, typically it's because of the shit that they've said against Hollywood, to sort of the structural fuckery that goes on in Hollywood.
Right. There was and this goes...
I'm all this to say, playing to your Uncut Gems thing with Sandler, how he was snubbed, and how all these people, Eddie's not getting nominated, Sandler not getting nominated.
Who was Eddie's?
Eddie Dolomite.
Dolomite, yeah. He absolutely
should have been nominated.
If I had anybody on my list, and this is why I'm not going to watch the Oscars this year.
Oh, were you planning on it?
No. Well, no, because
do you typically?
I would say about 5 years ago, Joe and our buddies Ashley and their kids would come over, and we would have a big Oscar party, and we would watch the Oscars.
Wow.
Yeah. It was just a thing to do. It wasn't because the Oscars were so fucking great, but we would have little bets and we would, fill out the forms. And the last couple of years, we haven't done that. It's sort of definitely started around the Oscars So White hashtag, right? But we kind of kept watching and we would look in. This is the year that I really don't care about the Oscars. Like, legitimate. I think maybe a year or two ago, I sort of cared about who won. But this is the year that I really don't care. They're not going to give it again to Rami Malek.
You're a couple years behind me then, because I mean, other than Rami's win last year, it's the only kind of notable Oscar moment for me. I stopped watching the Oscars or giving a fuck about the Oscars when Russell Crowe, I've said this, won for The Gladiator.
Yeah.
In
your favorite movie.
In whatever year that he won for that shit, and I was like, wait, what? They giving it to this motherfucker for that movie? Man, fuck the Oscars. The Oscars ain't shit. And I was done with the Oscars after that. Like, I just don't care. It's like... Just the mindset behind an award show based around subjective, a subjective art form where, like, I can feel a movie a certain way or a performance a certain way, and based on that, like, you can win, but I can't. And it didn't make sense to me that it was like, we're gonna try to pick whose performance is better than another performance. That whole concept just fucks the whole thing up for me.
Yeah, especially when you start thinking it's political. Look at how many years so and so's won it, and how many years so and so hasn't won it.
Well, I started reading an article today that was explaining why J Lo and Eddie and Adam were snubbed, and they were basically talking to like Oscar voters.
Yeah,
who some of these people have been around, like they're basically old white people, old white guys or old white women who like don't like if a movie like say Aquafina, that the girl who won,
who's apparently going to be the new voice of like the Seven Train.
I think only for the week. I don't think it's forever. I think it's just they're doing it promotion because she did whatever and she's from Queens.
Do you think that's a good sidebar? Do you think that's a good move? I feel like everybody will just end up hating you. This train is going to be delayed by...
I don't know, man. I feel like as much as we talk about representation mattering, like...
Who is the voice of the train? Is it a white girl?
I think it is a white girl. Like I think it is. But, like, anyway.
What was it's a computer. Is a computer a white voice?
What was I saying? Oh, man.
Aquafina.
Yeah, but it was tying into something larger... You always fuck me up.
I know. I'm sorry. Talking about Eddie, and you're talking about... you read an article.
Right. And so, like... When it comes to like minorities or movies that involve like a minority cast, 9 times out of 10 the Oscar voters don't even watch the film.
Yeah.
They don't consider those films Oscar worthy, so they don't even watch them.
So they just vote for whoever they want.
Get Out was a perfect one. Like that, it won, but like there was a number of the Oscar voters who didn't even see the film.
Yeah.
Didn't even see the fucking film.
But it probably goes for other movies too. But not to say there's not racism behind all that, because of course there is. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to think.
It's just this article made it like they were using comparisons like, oh well, Leonardo DiCaprio's brand of acting is one that would garner looking at for Oscar nominations, while Adam Sandler's brand of acting, while this movie may have been good and and fine, he has had like a series, like he made, what's that movie he did with Jennifer Aniston, the shitty comedy?
Oh, the one that made the most watch on Netflix, The Vacationers,
and that was what they were using.
Like that. Yeah.
That was the excuse they were using to keep him. That was the excuse that this particular Oscar voter was using to justify not nominating him.
Right. So you have this inherently flawed system, this inherently systemically racist system.
Thank you.
Right?
I didn't want to autocorrect, but thank you. Yes.
And so it's sort of like, why are we getting so worked up about it? We understand why it is inherently racist, inherently flawed, and we keep banging our heads against the wall saying, we want Eddie Murphy in this. No. And what was the Eddie Murphy thing that he came out from 20, 30 years earlier? Did you see that video?
Yes.
He's basically like, this doesn't represent me, and I don't know why.
Basically,
I'll play the clip here.
You definitely have to play the clip, because it was one of the more poignant parts of like this whole season of like announcements.
Yeah.
Because he came out in 81 and said some shit. He was like, look, I'm probably, and he said it in that speech. He's like, I'm probably not going to win an Oscar for saying this shit, but I got to say it.
Yeah.
Representation. Cut 2. It's crazy.
My 3 favorite movies this year, I just realized. Dolomite Is My Name, Parasite, Uncut Gems.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Those are my 3.
Okay. Dolomite's definitely on there for me. I haven't seen Parasite. I still haven't been able to get a good version of it. I'd say Bombshell was up there for me.
Okay, haven't seen that yet.
I'd say it's up there for me. the only critique I have of it is that it makes Megyn Kelly seem sympathetic.
Okay.
And I don't think that she's a sympathetic person.
She's like Schindler from Schindler's List, the good Nazi.
Yeah. No, she's not that.
Okay.
She's not. And that's what it kind of makes her seem like. It makes her seem like, oh, while she was a beneficiary of the environment over there at Fox to get where she was, if not for her, then it wouldn't have brought down who it brought. Roger, the guy who
Roger Ailes
wouldn't have gotten brought down.
Right.
And that's case to point is, if she hadn't spoken up when she did, the lawsuit that the woman had brought against Ailes, Fox was already like circling the wagons to sort of run the clock out on that, like, because I mean, how like she made money, but she didn't have Fox money to fight in
not against
it was going to be like attrition.
She's going up against a billionaire,
right?
Yeah.
And if Megyn hadn't come out and said what she said when she said it, then that woman's the whole thing would have fallen down. So it kind of garners Megyn Kelly this kind of like hero-ness, or like, oh, she did a good thing. When as you're watching it, you're like, bitch, you knew this shit was going on the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
So, and you were party, you got to where you are because you were able to navigate this shit, but some of the other motherfuckers around you weren't nearly as lucky, and you got to benefit from it. So now that you come out and actually do right, we're supposed to applaud you? Get the fuck out of my face with that shit.
But you can applaud Theron.
Oh, she kills.
You know?
She Megyn Kelly's the
you can
Megyn
applaud
Kelly
the performance.
Megyn Kelly.
That's the thing you can feel good about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's Charlize. I mean,
that's Charlize.
We've been through that.
Yeah.
I mean, she kills.
What if Charlize sold a candle?
I'd buy it.
I'd
buy Charlize's candle.
Right?
I'd buy Charlize's candle.
She's like, this candle smells like my vagina.
Done. Give me 5.
After working out.
Fine. I'll take 6.
After 5 years of time.
Okay, 25. Just give me a pallet of your vagina smelling candles. Love that bitch. I love her.
What if Paltrow have like some like weird egg that you would like put in your vagina?
Yes, I said that. The jade egg. No,
the jade egg. Yeah.
And you were supposed to put it inside yourself and I guess kegel around it, which every doctor on every side was like, no, don't put a foreign object in your vagina and hold it there, unless it's a penis.
PlayStation 5 controller has a patent that claims it will support voice controls. Left turn.
Yeah, that went left. I thought it already did. You can control your PlayStation with your PlayStation controller right now.
Can you?
Yeah. You have to.
It does have a microphone. I know that, right?
It has a microphone. It has a setting that allows you. You can be like turn on or open app, or you can talk to your PlayStation to do things. It doesn't. It's not as intuitive or like. You know, like when you talk to your phone, hey Siri, da 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 da.
Yeah,
it's a little more.
Not that good.
It's not that good. Is basically what I'm trying to say. But it does work. You can do things with it, but it's just easier when it's in your hand to just be like bip bip, than to be like, do something. I said do something. Damn
shit.
Okay, fuck it. I'll just do it with my fingers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, apparently you're going to get 2 more buttons for your fingers underneath the controller as well.
Okay. Oh,
I guess.
I mean, sure.
I mean, there's so many buttons on a controller.
I mean,
just give us gloves.
I don't know. I
feel
like
the power glove.
I feel like the PlayStation controller definitely is the most economical and ergonomical of the controllers that we've gotten since Nintendo, since the very first Nintendo that had your 2 buttons and your D-pad.
That was a huge leap, man.
I know it was.
The D-pad was the leap,
and then the next huge leap was the controller that they gave us for the N64, and that was a cacophony of fuck.
Yeah.
You remember that shit?
Oh, yeah.
That was like...
It had 3 little horns.
Well, yeah, and then
3
like a
handles.
joystick, and then like D-pad buttons up here with the joystick down here, and then another... It was a cacophony. Yeah. And then the PlayStation 1 came along, and it was like 2 bumper buttons here, boop, 2 bumper buttons here, some buttons here, and then the D-pad with joystick. I was like, all right, that's great.
That feels good.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that is basically what we got. I mean, the Xbox came along with their version, basically, of the PlayStation controller.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yep.
Yeah. So what else you got?
I shouldn't have gone off on this PlayStation 5 controller because I did have a little bit of news about the Doctor Strange
Director leaving?
Yeah, because this is kind of going back to the Hollywood fuckery that we don't hear about. We don't hear about what those actual creative differences were.
Right.
That why Scott Derrickson left
Yeah, because
Doctor Strange.
We talked about this was news like I think the last week or the week before when we talked about it, but we never really found out why, or they just said creative differences. But you now know why.
Not exactly, but he was putting out tweets prior to this announcement that said things like, "It is a strength, not a weakness, to make or accept a proper apology. Spread the word." He had another one that says, "When there is a tendency to compartmentalize the spiritual is apt gradually to be lost," which is a Flannery O'Connor quote.
And I'm not.
I'm not
unsure why it's. I don't get why it's relevant.
It's only relevant because it sounds like he was sort of, even though we just got the announcement that he left because of creative differences, it sounds like these things were going on prior to that, which is not entirely newsworthy.
So it sounds like it was contentious enough that he was putting out these tweets prior to being let go?
Well, and it's also going to sort of towards, we had, what's-his-face, Colin Terranova, who did the Jurassic World movies, who also wrote a version of the script that they were going to go with for Rise of Skywalker that's been floating around this week. And everybody's sort of claiming that this was the better script than what J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio came up with. But nobody really knows why that Colin whatever his last name is, moved away from the project. They also cited creative differences. So that kind of catch-all for Hollywood. Anytime somebody's like, I don't want to do this project because it's fucking racist, or I don't want to do this project because I have a moral objection to it, just gets blanketed as creative differences. Yeah.
I see. I see. Yeah.
So there's sort of like this secret thing that happens with Hollywood that's starting to bother me more and more.
I wonder if Rami has any insight into some of this.
I'm sure he does. This is the thing about Rami Malek, especially with Bohemian Rhapsody. He has a lot of information about Bryan Singer and what happened in that process, and he does not talk about it. You know what I mean?
Because in-house business is fucking in-house business.
Sure. And from his perspective, no judgment on him, I think that's the right choice. At the same time, how many of those pseudo-wrong choices can you make before it starts to negatively affect a representation of people? You know what I mean? If the choices... There's a lot of people who made these choices about Bryan Singer going on that knew that he was this sort of like... predator towards young boys and stuff like that, and nobody said anything. Same with Kevin Spacey. Same with Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
It was in-house business.
Right.
For a long time.
Right.
And people got seriously fucked over for it. Right. So to move away from Rami Malek, what is sort of like what is Hollywood's moral obligation to society to come out and be more honest about some of these things?
That's a question, bro.
I
think I've
had a very philosophical week.
I feel like that is a question that we should book in the news unless you got something else, man. I think that's enough to leave motherfuckers like, hey, please, if you have any answers and want to have a little tete-to-tete in this conversation, man, please feel free to hit us up. Lawrence, will you hit them with the...
Sure. So what we got is, if you want to find us on Facebook, we're at What We Into on Facebook. We have an email. Send us an email about that or anything in particular. whatweinto@gmail.com. We're on Twitter, dial_Lawrence. We are on Instagram, What We Into Podcast. Rob Robinson, you got a website, which is at the bottom of the email.
I do.
Or bottom of this, if you go to like our little like page, we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify. You can throw us a buck, whatweinto.com/ what we into Patreon. Whatever. Hit us up. It's all the info's at the bottom of the podcast, if I remember it.
Everything will be at the bottom of this particular link, so don't even trip. But this was a good one.
Yeah. I'm going to bring this up in the next episode, but I have a quote from MLK. It's MLK Day.
Word.
I have a question of whether or not it still applies to liberal understanding of systemic racism, but I think it's still a good quote. The quote is, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that."
He's not wrong.
I don't think he's wrong either.
He's not fucking wrong. But I'm your boy, Rob Karma Robinson.
And I'm Lawrence Dial. Thanks so much for listening.
We'll see you next week.
Peace out.
Peace.
Later, haters.
United